Nemesis. My superpowers were ineffectual in the face of this adversary. Even though our potency derived from the same source, mine ultimately proved the inferior. I might be able to crush solid steel with my bare hands, but my foe could render me prostrate with a minute motion. Little did I know that when I felt the swell of energy through my body as my uncanny physiology unfolded its transformation, a parallel transformative surge was happening too. As my sinews rippled and expanded to fill my costume, so my cells divided and thickened beneath. As my mitochondrial DNA fueled my malignancy-fighting bursts, so they also unwittingly stoked a corruption of their own inside my body, a metastasis within megalopolis. Having been exposed to gamma waves in childhood, inevitably I was immune to radiotherapy. It baffled the oncologists, but at least they didn't twig my identity. The chemotherapy was supposed to target the carcinomas just as precisely as I'd excised villains. The magic bullet, which I myself supposedly represented as the cure for the pathology out on our streets. But like the street antagonists I faced, remove one and 3 more grow back in their place. In the parlance of myth, we might have said like a many-headed hydra. In the clinical jargon of now, we cannot escape the fact of its tumefaction. Luckily, the hood of my cape covered up the ensuing baldness from the treatment, but the clumps of hair I had to remove from inside each time I divested myself of the costume reinforced my reversion to mortality at the end of each mission. Exposure to radiation turns the supervillains' minds, sends them insane with their power, allied to their innate malevolence, which sees them looking to flout law and authority. With me, the process has been slower, far more perniciously indirect. The creeping realisation of the price I have paid with my body divided against itself has tipped me over the edge. The supervillain never felt any pain, except when I slapped the handcuffs on him. There was no slow erosion of the person they once were. My pain is doubled, the tumescent physical spasms augmented by the leeching away of my inviolability. The felons simply regarded that they had to dislodge me as an impediment to the wholesale advancement of evil. They could not in all bad conscience see themselves as villainous if I, as a force for good, were allowed to prevail. They could not possibly live and operate as supervillains if a superhero was still poised against them. That made them heedless of danger, for they did not care if they died, so long as they perished in the act of trying to vanquish me. And that ratcheted up the level of their degradation, made them capable of the most dire outrages. So, what did I ever achieve? I provided my citizens with the briefest of short-lived remissions, before the pathology reared up again, more virulent and resistant to any relief I might provide. A superhero is supposed to provide protection, to keep death at bay, yet ultimately unable to achieve either. A superhero can't be killed, but he can still die, undermined and overwhelmed by his own frailties. Harking back to the Greek origin of the term hero, as someone displaying the hubris to imagine they could rise up above the human throng, always to be brought crashing back down by the nagging apprehension that their life is no more elevated than anybody else's. Narcissus is the more pertinent myth, only the pool in which we gaze upon our reflection turns out to be a mirage.